Hey, my handsome ladies and gentlemen, this is Shmeaty. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. SALAMENCE is a Pokemon I'm very excited to try out in the Great League Fantasy Cup, and why is that? Well, that's because when it first came out with Fly over a year ago, I was one of the first people to feature it. So, I want to take a look at what this new version of SALAMENCE can do. Last year I was running it with Dragon Tail, Fly, and insert nuke move here, but now we're going to be running it with Fire Fang, Brutal Swing, and Fly, giving it pretty interesting coverage into the Fantasy Cup meta, as well as being the perfect storm for a counter for those oh so annoying mudslappers. In the first game, we're going to see a Volt Switch Fortress up against our Florges. Florges going to strike first with the Chilling Water. They are going to attempt to fire off a move at the Florges. Did we manage to catch the Earthquake onto the Corviknight? Yes, we did. That is a lot of energy down the drain, but unfortunately, we are getting hit for super effective damage with these Volt Switches. Not for long, though, because we have a Sky Attack aimed at that Fortress. Fortress is going to get rocked by it, and now they're going to be able to connect with the move they wanted to connect with all along, which is going to be that Rock Tomb. I'm not too afraid of it, though, because they are -1, and Fortress, not really well renowned for its attacking prowess. They are going to be able to get a last-second Rock Tomb off, but I think this sets up a very nice farm down for Florges. If I want to come back in and go for an aggressive Fairy Wind farm down, I'm going for it. I realize I'm not going to be able to do it, so I get as many Fairy Winds off as I can and go for the CMP tie with a Chilling Water up against them with a potential Rock Tomb. In comes a Metang. Metang going to immediately switch out upon seeing the SALAMENCE. SALAMENCE up against the Azumarill. You might think that this is a bad matchup, but I don't think anybody told that to my boy SALAMENCE. Going for the Ice Beam is the Azumarill. SALAMENCE going for the Fly. How much damage is this going to do? Are they going to shield it up? They don't shield it up, and I think SALAMENCE can now commit to a farm down as well as grab shields from this Azumarill. This is a complete change of pace to how you would have thought this game was going to play out. In comes the Florges looking for the snipe onto the Azu. We have the Trailblaze. This is Trailblaze range. Are they going to let it go? They let go of the Trailblaze. In comes Metang. Metang is going to be able to fire off a potential Gyro Ball here, but not before Florges strikes first with the Chilling Water. Chilling Water is going to lower that attack stat of that Metang. And now I think we leave this all in the hands of our very capable boy, SALAMENCE. We just need him to close out this game. I don't know if we're going to be able to make two moves here. This is a little bit scary. I'm going to shield up. If they get to the double Side Shock here, I may very well just lose the game. They make a Side Shock with 1 HP. If I was able to click on my move there, I think we just win, but well played to this trainer. Very good composure. There are two Mudslappers in this cup. Largely, they are going to be Excadrill and Shadow Alolan Dugtrio, and unfortunately, the teams that I've been building have been factoring them in heavily. So this entire team has play into those very annoying Mudslappers. I bring in the SALAMENCE. Unfortunately, they are going to be able to make a move, so I am going to shield up, as they would have to be like 97 years old not to have been able to react to that. In comes Azumarill. Unfortunately, down a shield, SALAMENCE not as good of a position as it otherwise would be. I'm going for the Fly up against the Azumarill, looking to get some damage or a shield, and I get some heavy damage onto the Azu, getting them below 50% HP. I no shield, thinking my SALAMENCE's job is done, and they are going to have a Galarian Weezing in back, so definitely my SALAMENCE's job was absolutely done there. We're going to fire off this Iron Head at the Geezing, hoping to get a shield or a KO. Unfortunately, they do shield up, and now my secret has been exposed. Maybe I should have debatably went for the Air Cutter or the Sky Attack bait there just to lull them into a false sense of security, but realistically, that wouldn't have been the best situation if they no-shielded. They go for the Overheat. Down goes my Corviknight, but they are -2 now. They're going to have to switch out. Back in comes Azumarill. I think Florges might be able to clutch. I don't think so, but we're going to try anyway. We get the Trailblaze, and the Fairy Wind after will KO. We have the Chilling Water loaded. Is this going to be enough? We have to grab the shield first and then get the KO. The Geezing, oh no, they're just outside of Fairy Wind farm down range, and I don't have 2 shields, I only have 1, so once they double up on moves, which should be right about here, Florges will go down. Although debuff, this Sludge would still do a massive amount of damage. GG's to them. Get into the next one. Florges into Azumarill. I actually don't mind this lead at all, especially because Florges is so good in this cup that I feel like if you just shield once and are able to get rid of the Azumarill, you're in a really good spot. Trailblaze number 1, never going to be respected by the Azu, but it doesn't have to be. I go for 3 and the CMP tie, and mysteriously, a lot of my opponents would like to throw their energy there on 7. I really don't know why that is. This is enough for a potential Hydro Pump, so I am going to shield. It's just going to be the Play Rough, which still would have done a lot of damage. In comes a Garchomp. Again, for some reason, what are these mysterious Garchomps doing in my game? I'm double shielding the Florges. I do not want to get taken out by its potential Earth Power, especially because I'm going to be able to fully Fairy Wind down the Garchomp, and my opponent wants nothing left to do with that game, so they're going to concede the match. It's a Florges Mirror in the next one, and I probably don't win CMP, so I'm probably going to be in a bad spot, but I'll just go for the Chilling Water immediately, and I actually end up, I think that was a CMP tie, and I think we won it somehow. It's a pretty high rank Florges, so I'm surprised, but it had a Calm Day, so probably the opponent just has a slightly higher rank. They go for the Chilling Water themselves, but as you can see, because we're able to strike first in this matchup, we have a pretty substantial, non-negligible health advantage. They are now in the red health. They are -2 throwing this Chilling Water, whereas mine was only -1. They go for the Trailblaze, and the Trailblaze is actually a pretty smart play there. I look to bring in the Salamence, get the Fire Fang farm down. What is it they have in the back? They're going to bring in Stunfisk, so if your best answer to this Salamence that you've seen is on Fire Fang is the Stunfisk, maybe you don't have a very good answer to the Salamence. We are just going to shield up the pretty obvious Rock Slide here, and they go for the Muddy Water. What is this? Why are we on Muddy Water Stunfisk? What year is this? What ELO is this? I have to roast myself for this one. I'm going to get the Fire Fang farm down, no shielding, another Muddy Water from the G-Fist. Not a sentence that I thought I would have to say today. Going for the Brutal Swing up against the incoming Corviknight. Corviknight shields up. We're looking to make a Chilling Water up against the Corviknight with our Florges. With as little health remaining as we have, we're going to have to try to make some miracles happen, but this is their last Pokemon, and there's just no way for them to get rid of our own Corviknight. I don't even know if we have to show it, though. They go for the Air Cutter. I'm bringing in Salamence. Salamence, I think, might just be able to take a -1 Air Cutter, but not a payback, so I shield up the Air Cutter. This is only going to be another Air Cutter, and it's just not going to be enough to KO. Air Cutter, we live barely, get the Fire Fang farm down, and Salamence is on a roll. Alright, on to the next match. Florges up against a Alolan Dugtrio. I am so sick and tired of fast move pressure Pokemon running metas. You're going to see me immediately throw my move on 5 here, and that is because that's as good timing as I can throw without allowing the Alolan Dugtrio to potentially throw a move first. And I don't want to be the first one to give up a shield in that matchup, so you're going to see me also throw one further Fairy Wind, catch the Mud Bomb onto my Corviknight, and they are going to build up some more energy, bring in their Azumarill, but this is actually fine for me. I don't mind baiting out the Azumarill while I have the Salamence in play, and we're up a shield. Salamence up a shield absolutely chews through teams, no pun intended. They're going to fire off the Ice Beam, but they need another one to KO. I'm going to be able to overfarm quite a lot here, keep some energy for the next matchup, and go for a Sky Attack. I believe I accidentally threw this move on the CMP tie. I didn't mean to time it that way, but it ends up working out because realistically, I don't really need this Corviknight anymore, and they are going to be able to land that Ice Beam, but that's fine. In comes Salamence. Salamence looking for that Fire Fang farm down. Azu not able to make that Ice Beam. In comes a Togekiss, but Togekiss is so wildly far behind on energy. I think my only lose con here would be to go for a Brutal Swing bait. Maybe if I mistakenly believed that I wasn't going to make 2 flies. I go for fly number 1 because I really think that their win con is to call a bait. The opponent tries for it. In comes the Dugtrio. Dugtrio can make 1 move, but it will not make 2. So we're going to be able to get this full farm down. Mud Bomb shielded. Down goes the Dugtrio. Let's go Salamence. In the next game, Florges leads into another Dugtrio. Oh my goodness, it's almost as if my team accounted for this being on every single person's team. Wowee. Anyway, I'm going to fire off a Chilling Water at the Alolan Dugtrio, throw 1 Fairy Wind and attempt to catch onto the Corviknight once again. I am able to get that catch for the 2nd game in a row. We love to see it. And here, we're in a really good position. Mud Bomb not going to do a lot of damage, obviously, onto the Corviknight, and wow, another Azumarill. what is this? I'm going to be able to go for the Sky Attack here. Now that we're up a shield, and realistically the chip that they did with that Mud Bomb is not going to be enough for the Corviknight to get KO'd by an Ice Beam. So we're in a really, really good position. The only way they would be able to pick up that knockout is if they had Hydro Pump. I'm going to overfarm a little bit again, go for yet another Sky Attack, and if they want to take me out, they absolutely can. I don't mind that at all. I'm just going to bring in my Salamence and look to get ahead on energy. Down goes the Corviknight to an Ice Beam, but now this Azu is energyless, and in comes Salamence. Salamence looking for that Fire Fang farm down, just not quite able to get it. Unfortunately, this Azu hangs on barely, and we are going to have to shield up an Ice Beam, but in exchange for this much energy on the Salamence, that may actually end up being worth it. What is it my opponent decides to bring in? It is Degene. Oh my goodness, do I have a nasty surprise for Degene. Fly does half of its health, and Salamence is on a rampage looking to farm down the Degene. If they make a move here, I will just switch out. They go for the Parabolic Charge. I'm going to be able to get this Fire Fang farm down before they can make another. Oh my goodness, in comes Dugtrio. Dugtrio unable to make a move. Salamence, you absolute Salamence. Getting into the next one. Oh my goodness, this cup is even more cringe than I thought. This is the third Alolan Dugtrio Mudslap lead in a row. I'm going to go for yet another Chilling Water on the first. They're forced to shield it as the Mudslappers in this cup are horrendously glassy. This trainer doesn't fall for the one Fairy Wind and Cat strategy, but that's still okay. It actually works out a little better for them that they didn't fall for it, and they also were able to save quite a lot of energy on that Alolan Dugtrio, which may come back to bite us later on in the game, but I think we're still in an okay spot. Nevertheless, my Corviknight always going to be looking to no-shield the first move here. If it's a Hydro Pump, so be it, I'm getting Hydro Pumped. I am going to no-shield, it's just going to be the Ice Beam, meaning that Corviknight will take 2 moves to get KO'd, and just before we're able to make our next Sky Attack, the opponent is going to be able to connect with another Ice Beam that just barely doesn't get the KO. I don't make my Sky Attack, but that might actually be a little bit better. In comes Salamence looking for that farm down. Unfortunately, once again, not quite able to get that farm down. Maybe it isn't for the better. In comes the Stunfisk in the back. An ABA ground steel with an Azu in the middle. Can you think of a more creative team? Because I certainly can. Brutal Swing is going to get a lot of damage onto that Galarian Stunfisk. Stunfisk going to be forced to fire off a move here, but it has to be an Earthquake. A Rock Slide won't cut it. They go for the Rock Slide anyway. We're going for the Chilling Water. Chilling Water will get this Stunfisk really, really low or pick up the knockout. Looks like they get KO'd. Back in comes the Dugtrio, getting the Mudslap farm down onto the Florges. Florges is going to get KO'd by the Mudslap. Salamence farms down the Azu as they attempted to catch a move. The move wasn't thrown. In comes the Dugtrio, getting farmed down. And we're on to the next match where we lead up against the Togekiss. Togekiss, a little bit of a core breaker for this team. Realistically, like the biggest core breaker you'll commonly see is Turtonator. But realistically, all I really want to do is have a little bit of fun with Salamence, so I'm not opposed that much to being core broken as bad as I was there. But nevertheless, we are going to tank a move with our Florges and hope that it was a Aura Sphere or a Psyshock. They had the Dazzling Gleam, so that did a lot of damage. In comes an Altaria. Altaria is going to be looking to fire off a move at the Corviknight. Corviknight will be able to shake this damage off, even if it is a Flamethrower. For some reason, they go for a Sky Attack. I think that was a bait, and that's not enough for another Sky Attack, or that's not enough for a Flamethrower. That's only another Sky Attack, so I no-shielded, and I'm correct. Usually my counts might just be a little bit off. Insert we have moved mean here. I am going to go for another Sky Attack up against the Altaria. Looking to get rid of the Altaria, I need to throw soon because I know that their pacing is just behind mine. I'm going to be able to pick up the KO with that Sky Attack. In comes the Togekiss looking for the farm down, but we have an Iron Head. A word of advice, Togekiss, you better shield this up. If not, you're getting banged. In comes Dugtrio, getting the Mudslap farm down. Come on in, Salamence. The water's fine. We're getting that Fire Fang farm down. They're going to throw a Copium Mud Bomb at my Salamence. It's not going to be enough to KO. Mud Bomb does way too much damage to Salamence, but he shrugs it off. On to the next game. Alright, another problematic Pokemon. As previously stated, it is going to be that Turtonator. I feel like if I see it on lead, I'd much rather just play it out with the Florges, as this is realistically the closest thing I have to a response. I go for the Chilling Water, I'm able to get that debuff, but if this is a Flash Cannon, I'm just straight up dead anyway. They go for a Brutal Swing bait, and that is definitely a brutal bait for me. I'm going to go for a Chilling Water, and I know that they nearly have their first Air Cutter here, and they're looking to get this Florges low, so I am going to throw one, and now pivot into my Salamence. If they go for a payback here, I'm in trouble. I am going to no shield, hoping that it's not the payback, it's just going to be the Air Cutter, and even debuff, that Air Cutter does a lot of damage. I am going to no shield this, as this was too soon for a potential payback, so I am going to attempt the farm down of the Corviknight, not quite able to get it. Am I going to give up my last shield here, or am I going to recognize that my Salamence may have run its course? I am going to look for the farm down with the Florges. Tell me they don't have a better answer. They do not. Turtonator comes back in. Turtonator going to be met with a potential Chilling Water. Chilling Water is going to grab the shield from the Turtonator. I expected them to play into the CMP. They go for a full extra Incinerate, and that is pretty bad news for me. They're going to have to throw energy at my Florges here, and a Brutal Swing will be enough to KO. Now, I have to bring in my Corviknight and hope that I'm going to be able to get this game, but I don't know if I can because they've gotten the Azumarill in the back. We know that we can live 2 Ice Beams comfortably, and we do have a slight energy advantage over the Azu, but this game would need to be played to perfection, and even then I don't think there's a win con. I am going to look to get as many Sky Attacks off on this Azu before they can throw their next Ice Beam, as that next Ice Beam should put me in a range where one Incinerate will KO. I am going to have to let this next move go, unfortunately. Ice Beam gets me very, very low. In comes the Turtonator, and one Incinerate will pick up the knockout. The reason I didn't shield there is because if I did shield, I'm just getting KO'd by the move that the Turtonator has stored anyway. Speaking of anyway, I think we've made it to the final game of the video, where it is going to be Florges leading into Galarian Stunfisk. Galarian Stunfisk going for the Chilling Water. Chilling Water grabbing the shield from the Stunfisk, an early shield from a very bulky Pokemon. Not exactly what I was expecting. They're going to fire off the Earthquake, the full send of the Earthquake. They bring in the G-Zing, which would generally be a massive core breaker for me. They're going to build right up, and I'm going to no shield. Corviknight, come on, tell me this isn't an overheat. It's an overheat. My Corviknight gets absolutely bullied by that overheat, but before they're able to make a Sludge, I'm able to make an Iron Head. An Iron Head will do a lot of damage onto the G-Zing. G-Zing is going to respect the Iron Head. They are going to fire off a move here. I don't expect them to overheat twice. They go for the Sludge. The Sludge is not enough to KO, but it will put me in Fairy Wind farm down range. And now I have a decision to make here. I think I've got to bring in Salamence. Salamence met with the Stunfisk. Stunfisk going to be able to outpace to the Rock Slide here, but I think we can just look to get ahead on energy with our Salamence and try to cook up that way. I'm looking to try to make a catch of a potential Rock Slide onto my Florges. I do end up getting the catch, but it was a little delayed there. I overfarmed to 100 energy and go for a Chilling Water. Chilling Water is going to be 0 bubbled here, as I think we believe our win con here is just fully in the Salamence energy. They are going to go for yet another Rock Slide. It does KO. Salamence comes back in, gets that Fire Fang farm down in the back. We have seen the Galarian Weezing. Weezing has not made an attempt at a catch. We are going for the Fly. Fly KOs the Galarian Weezing in the back. They've got Jirachi. Jirachi going to be able to make that move in 3 confusions, but we have the Brutal Swing. Is it enough? Down goes the Jirachi. GG's to this trainer. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. Is Shadow Salamence on Fire Fang a must-have for the Great League Fantasy Cup? No, but if you want to do what I did and make short work of degens trying to take advantage of these glassy mudslappers, then I've got just the Pokemon for you in Shadow Salamence. All jokes aside, Shadow Salamence is massively improved with the massive reworks it's seen in fast moves and charge moves recently. You love to see it. It's honestly pretty viable. I think you can run it to pretty decent success, but realize that it is a little bit inflexible, and there are going to be some really devastatingly bad matchups for you, such as most fairy types, as well as Azumarill if it's even on shields, or potentially a Degene, or realistically the worst one in the meta is probably going to be that Turtonator. With all that being said, thanks once again so much for watching. I've been Shmeaty. I hope to see you all again next time, and have a good rest of your day. See ya.